Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that Russia struck Ukraine with 90 missiles and 100 drones overnight in response to Ukraine's attacks with UK and US weapons last week. He added that Russia was selecting targets in Ukraine that could include decision-making centres in Kyiv. More than 1 million Ukrainians, it's estimated, have been left without power following the overnight assault on Ukraine's energy sector, which lasted for almost 9.5 hours. The disruption to the electricity supply is a mix of damage to that infrastructure as well as emergency power cuts. In Kyiv, many people sheltered in the city's underground stations. Military sources say all the missiles and drones used by Russia on the capital were intercepted, but that falling debris caused some minor damage. 3 people were wounded in Odessa, in the south of the country, while neighbouring Kherson has been left without electricity. Buildings were also damaged in the Lviv region. Officials in nearby Rivne in western Ukraine say more than 280,000 people have no electricity. Well, Russia has repeatedly targeted Ukraine's energy system since the start of the war, as the country heads into its 3rd winter since the invasion. Here is Sarah Rainsford, our Eastern Europe correspondent, with the latest.
This was a massive and a combined attack, as you've just heard, a mixture of missiles and drones. It's happened as it has happened before, which is that Russia sends a huge wave of drones to Ukraine, in this case, right across the country, and then follows up with missiles. The drones are supposed to keep the air defences busy so that the missiles then have a better chance of getting through. Now, in this case, Ukraine's air forces have just said that altogether around about 110 or so drones and missiles were shot down, but they say in total 188 were actually launched. So it does look like there was some of those missiles and drones did get through. And it appears, according to the statements coming from Ukrainian officials and from information on the ground, it does appear that the target yet again has been critical infrastructure in Ukraine right across the country. So we've heard from Lviv in the far west that some 500,000 people are now experiencing emergency power outages, so blackouts, no power at all, and hundreds of thousands in other parts of the country. So it is and it was a sustained attack. As you mentioned, the air raid alert lasted for 9.5 hours in Kyiv, in the capital. So lots of people spending a very worrying, a very uncomfortable, of course, night in bunkers on the underground, sheltering from the threat in the skies.
Sarah Rainsford. Let's speak now to Alexander Harchenko, Director at the Energy Industry Research Centre in Ukraine. Thank you very much for joining us on the programme today. I want to get your assessment in the wake of these latest attacks about the state of Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Is it fragile or is it managing to bear up, given the number of recent drone and missile attacks by Russia?
I absolutely sure that we have to use word manageable, and the situation is complicated, but it's not possible to have a simple situation when you're hit by 90 missiles and 120 plus drones in one night. But from other side, we can say that all our measures and everything done to be prepared work well. Fortification of high voltage power grid, defense on generation capacity, without positive result of this defense, without this fortification, without ready-to-go maintenance team who already on the objects, who already work to restore supply to all people who is out of supply at this moment, situation can be times more dramatical.
So what more can be done to protect the energy security of Ukraine at the moment?
If we are talking about the moment that only air defense, because everything in energy industry is not a fast track solution. You want to build fortification, it's several months. You want to build additional generation capacity, it's a year or even 2 years. That it's at the moment we are talking about air defense, but in perspective even of 1 year, because next winter will come very soon. We need support for investment in Ukrainian energy industry and to rebuilding of Ukrainian energy industry.
So there's a very clear distinction there between the short term and the medium and longer term based on what you're saying. Give us a sense then about the impact this is having on the population, pressure on the healthcare system and so on.
Right now, the main target for Moscow terrorists is absolutely civil objects. They attacked a high-voltage power grid, especially in western and south part of Ukraine. And they partly successful. And today, we really have outage up to 12 hours for a big part of Ukraine. But I'm absolutely sure that even tomorrow, we will have like 6-8 hours in a week or two if we will have no repeatedly attack.
The population, though, if people are having to, Alexander, if people are having to, go at night and shelter in underground stations, if people don't know whether it's safe to send their children to school, if there is pressure, because people are cold and getting ill on the healthcare system, these are the sorts of impacts I'm talking about. I wonder if you can very briefly give us a sense of those.
I'm really sorry, I'm not an expert in healthcare system, and I can provide you the right figures. But from energy side, we restore very fast supply, and I don't think that heating system is not operational. It's operational, and people have a heat. People keep warm in their multi-apartment building, and they receive electricity as soon as possible, I think, in hours today.
Alexander Harchenko, thank you very much for joining us on BBC News.